Maya Rodriguez stood in line at the downtown ATM, tapping her foot against the cold concrete. The sun was setting behind the tall buildings, casting long shadows across the busy street. She had just finished her 12-hour shift at the hospital, and all she wanted was to get some cash and go home to her small apartment. The line was moving slowly. There were 3 people ahead of her, and each one seemed to take forever at the machine. Maya checked her watch and sighed. She was tired, her feet hurt in her white nursing shoes, and she still had to stop at the grocery store before it closed. Behind her, she could hear someone pacing back and forth. The sound of expensive leather shoes clicking on the sidewalk made her turn around. A tall man in a dark suit was walking in small circles, his phone pressed to his ear. His face was red with anger or worry, she could not tell which. "No, no, no," the man was saying into his phone. "This cannot be happening, not today, not like this." Maya tried not to listen, but his voice was getting louder. She noticed his hands were shaking as he held the phone. His black hair was messy, like he had been running his fingers through it all day. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and his tie was loose around his neck. The man ended his call and put his phone in his pocket. He stood still for a moment, staring at the ground. Then he looked up at Maya with desperate eyes. "Excuse me," he said, his voice quiet and polite. "I know this is rude to ask, but could I please go ahead of you? I have an emergency." Maya looked at him more carefully. His face was pale, and there were dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he had not slept in days. His wedding ring caught the light from the street lamp as he moved his hands nervously. "Of course," Maya said with a kind smile. "Go ahead." "Thank you," the man said, relief washing over his face. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me." Daniel Hayes stepped ahead of Maya in line. He pulled out his wallet with trembling fingers and took out a black credit card. Maya could see it was one of those special cards for rich people. She wondered what kind of emergency would make someone who clearly had money look so scared. When it was Daniel's turn at the ATM, Maya watched as he put his card into the machine. His hands were shaking so badly that it took him 3 tries to get the card in correctly. He pressed the buttons on the screen and waited. The machine made a beeping sound. Daniel's face went white. He tried again, pressing the buttons more slowly. This time, again, the machine beeped and returned his card. Maya could see the words, "Transaction declined" on the screen from where she stood. "No," Daniel whispered. "This cannot be right." He put the card back in and tried a 3rd time. Same result. The machine would not give him any money. Daniel stepped back from the ATM like it had burned him. He stared at the screen in shock. Maya could see his whole body starting to shake. His phone rang. Daniel answered it quickly. "Claire?" he said. "Yes, I know. I tried. The card is not working. None of them are working." Maya could hear a woman's voice on the other end of the line, but she could not make out the words. The woman sounded upset. "No, honey," Daniel said, his voice breaking. "I know you are scared. I am scared too, but we will figure this out. We will get through this." He listened for a moment, then said, "Take Sophie to your mother's house tonight. Do not come home yet. I will call you when I know more." Maya felt sorry for the man. Whatever was happening to him was clearly very bad. She stepped forward to use the ATM, but she kept glancing at Daniel. He was still standing there, staring at his phone. Maya put her card in the machine and got her money quickly. When she turned around, Daniel was sitting on the bench next to the ATM with his head in his hands. She knew she should just walk away and mind her own business. She had her own problems to worry about. Her apartment rent was due in 3 days, and she barely had enough money to pay it. She worked extra shifts at the hospital just to make ends meet, but something about the man's desperation made her stop. She had seen that look before, in the emergency room when families got terrible news. It was the look of someone whose whole world had just fallen apart. Are you okay? Maya asked, walking over to the bench. Daniel looked up at her with red eyes. I am sorry, he said. I did not mean to hold up the line or cause a scene. You did not cause a scene, Maya said. Do you need help with something? Daniel laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Unless you have about $50 million lying around, I do not think anyone can help me. Maya's eyes widened. $50 million? What kind of trouble was this man in? I know how that sounds, Daniel said quickly. I know I look crazy. A few hours ago, I was worth more than that. Now I cannot even get $20 from an ATM. What happened? Maya asked, sitting down on the bench next to him. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, my business partner stole everything. All the money from our company. All. My personal savings, everything. The FBI froze all my accounts while they investigate. My lawyer says it could take months to sort out. Maya did not know what to say. She had never met anyone who had millions of dollars, let alone someone who had lost millions of dollars. My wife and daughter are at home waiting for me, Daniel continued. They do not know yet. I do not know how to tell them that we lost our house, our cars, everything. I do not even have money for dinner tonight. Maya looked at this man in his expensive suit, talking about not having money for dinner. It seemed impossible, but she could see the truth in his eyes. When did you last eat? She asked. Daniel thought for a moment. Yesterday morning, I think. I have been in lawyers' offices and police stations all day. Maya made a decision. She reached into her purse and pulled out a $20 bill. Here, she said, holding it out to him. Daniel stared at the money like he had never seen cash before. I cannot take that, he said. Yes, you can, Maya said firmly. You need to eat. There's a diner across the street. Go get some food. But I do not know you, Daniel said. I cannot pay you back. I might never be able to pay you back, Maya smiled. My name is Maya, now you know me, and you do not need to pay me back. Just go eat something. Daniel took the $20 with shaking hands. Maya, he said. Thank you. I will never forget this. As Maya walked home that evening, she thought about the strange man at the ATM. She wondered if she would ever see him again, and if his story was really true. Either way, she was glad she had helped him. Her grandmother always said that kindness cost nothing but was worth everything. She had no idea that her small act of kindness would change both their lives forever. 3 days later, Maya was walking to work when she saw Daniel again. He was sitting on the same bench near the ATM, but this time he looked even worse. His expensive suit was gone, replaced by wrinkled jeans and a plain white shirt that looked like they had been slept in. His face was covered with stubble, and his eyes were red and tired. Maya almost walked past him. She was already running late for her shift at the hospital. But something made her stop. Maybe it was the way he was staring at nothing, or maybe it was because he looked so lost and alone. Daniel? She said, walking over to him. He looked up, surprised. For a moment, he did not seem to recognize her. Then his face changed. Maya, he said, trying to smile. The nurse from the ATM. I did not expect to see you again. Are you okay? Maya asked, sitting down next to him. You look terrible. Daniel laughed, but it was a sad sound. I feel terrible too. Things have gotten much worse since we last met. What happened? Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I lost my house yesterday. The bank took it. My wife and daughter are staying with her parents now. I am staying at the motel down the street. Maya looked at the cheap motel he was pointing to. It was the kind of place where drug dealers and people with no money stayed. The paint was peeling off the walls, and half the neon sign was broken. That place? Maya asked. But you said you were rich. I was rich, Daniel said. 3 days ago, I had more money than I knew what to do with. I owned a technology company with my best friend from college. We built it from nothing and sold it for $60 million. Then we started a new company that was worth even more. He paused and rubbed his face with his hands. Greg, my partner, he was like a brother to me. I trusted him completely. While I was working on new products, he was stealing money from our accounts. Not just company money, but my personal money too. He had access to everything because I trusted him. Where is he now? Maya asked. Gone. He flew to some island where they cannot arrest him. The FBI says he took almost everything. $47 million gone in one day. Maya tried to imagine. That much money. She made $30,000 a year as a nurse. $47 million was more money than she could spend in 10 lifetimes. The worst part, Daniel continued, is that Greg used my name on fake documents. He made it look like I was part of the stealing. So now the police think I might be a criminal too. They froze all my bank accounts while they investigate. But if you did not do anything wrong, they will figure it out, right? Maybe. My lawyer says it could take 6 months or even longer. Until then, I have nothing. No money, no house, no car. I sold my watch yesterday to pay for the motel room. Maya noticed that his expensive watch was indeed gone. In its place was a cheap plastic one that probably cost $5. Daniel's phone rang. He looked at it, and his face got sad. It is my wife, he said to Maya. Excuse me. He answered the phone. Hi, Claire. Maya could hear a woman's voice on the other end, but she could not understand the words. The woman sounded upset. I know you are scared, Daniel said into the phone. I am scared too. But we will get through this. The woman's voice got louder. Now Maya could hear some of the words. Something about money and bills and their daughter. What do you mean, Sophie is asking? Questions? Daniel said. What kind of questions? Maya felt bad for listening, but she could not help it. Daniel was getting more upset as he talked. No, do not tell her yet, Daniel said. She is only 8 years old. Let me figure out how to explain this to her. The woman on the phone started crying. Maya could hear it clearly now. Claire, please do not cry, Daniel said, his own voice breaking. I will fix this. I promise I will fix this. How? The woman said, and now Maya could hear her words clearly. How will you fix this? We have no money. The bank took our house. Your company is gone. How do you fix any of this? Daniel was quiet for a long time. I do not know yet, he said finally, but I will find a way. I have to go, Claire said. Sophie is asking why Mommy is crying again. The phone went silent. Daniel stared at it for a moment, then put it in his pocket. Your daughter does not. No? Maya asked gently. Not everything. She knows we are staying at Grandma's house for a while, but she thinks it is just for fun. She does not know we lost everything. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. How do you tell an 8-year-old that Daddy made a mistake, and now we are poor? You did not make a mistake, Maya said firmly. Your friend made a mistake. He stole from you. I should have known. I should have been paying attention to the money instead of just working on new ideas. This is my fault. Maya could see that Daniel was about to cry. She had seen this before with families at the hospital. Sometimes people blamed themselves for things that were not their fault. When did you last eat? She asked, changing the subject. Daniel thought about it. I had some bread this morning. There is a bakery that throws away old bread behind the store. The owner said I could take it. Maya's heart broke. This man who had been worth millions of dollars was now eating thrown-away bread from behind a bakery. Come on, she said, standing up. Where? To get some real food. There is a good restaurant 2 blocks from here. Maya, I told you I do not have any money. I do. Come on. Daniel shook his head. I cannot let you pay for my food again. You already gave me $20. You barely know me. I know enough, Maya said. I know you are hungry and you need help. That is all I need to know." They walked to the restaurant in silence. It was a small place that served simple food like hamburgers and soup. Maya ordered a big meal for Daniel and a salad for herself. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Daniel asked while they waited for their food. Maya thought about the question. "When I was little, my family did not have much money. Sometimes we did not have enough food. I remember being hungry and scared. Other people helped us when we needed it most. Now I try to help when I can, but you do not have much money either." "I can tell," Maya smiled. "No, I do not. I work at the hospital and I make enough to pay my bills and have a little left over. Not much, but enough to buy dinner for someone who needs it." Their food came. Daniel ate like he had not eaten in days, which Maya realized was probably true. "This is the best meal I have had in a week," he said. "It is just a hamburger." "No," Daniel said, looking at her seriously. "It is much more than that. It is hope." After they finished eating, Maya walked Daniel back to his motel. The sun was setting and the broken neon sign was starting to flicker. "Thank you," Daniel said. "Again, I do not know how I will ever repay your kindness." "You do not need to repay me," Maya said. "Just take care of yourself. And do not give up. Things will get better." As Maya walked home, she thought about Daniel's story. She could not imagine losing everything in one day. She could not imagine having millions of dollars and then having nothing. But she could imagine being scared and hungry and alone. She decided she would check on him again tomorrow. Everyone needed a friend, especially when their world was falling apart. 2 weeks had passed since Maya last saw Daniel at the restaurant. She had looked for him at the bench near the ATM several times, but he was never there. She wondered if he had moved away or if something bad had happened to him. On her way to work one morning, Maya stopped at the corner grocery store to buy coffee. She was waiting in line when she heard a familiar voice. "Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. I will have those boxes moved to the back room right away." Maya turned around and saw Daniel wearing a green apron with the store's name on it. He was pushing a cart full of boxes toward the storage area. His hair was shorter now, and he looked cleaner than the last time she saw him, but he also looked very tired. "Daniel?" Maya called out. He stopped pushing the cart and looked around. When he saw Maya, his face lit up with the first real smile. She had seen from him. "Maya, what a surprise to see you here." "You work here now?" Maya asked, walking over to him. "Yes, I started last week. It is not much, but it pays enough for me to keep my motel room and buy food." Daniel looked embarrassed. "I stock shelves and move boxes. Not exactly what I used to do, but honest work is honest work." Maya could see that he was trying to stay positive, but she also noticed how his hands looked rough and cut from moving boxes. This man who used to run a technology company was now doing hard physical labor just to survive. "How are your wife and daughter?" Maya asked. Daniel's smile faded a little. "They are still staying with Claire's parents. Sophie started school there last week. She keeps asking when we are coming to get her and when we can go back to our old house." He paused. "It breaks my heart every time she calls. She still does not know what happened. We told her Daddy is working on a new business and we have to live apart for a while. She is 8 years old. How do you explain to a child that her father lost everything because he trusted the wrong person?" Maya could hear the pain in his voice. She had seen families torn apart by money problems at the hospital, but this felt different. This was someone she was starting to care about. "Daniel, I need to get to work, but would you like to have lunch together today? I get a break at noon." "I would like that," Daniel said. "But I cannot ask you to pay for my food again." "You are not asking. I am offering. There's a difference." At noon, Maya met Daniel at a small park near the grocery store. She had brought sandwiches from the hospital cafeteria and 2 cups of coffee. "This is nice," Daniel said, sitting on a bench under a big tree. I have not had lunch in a park in years. When I was rich, I always ate in fancy restaurants or at my desk while working. Do you miss it, being rich? Maya asked. Daniel thought about the question while he ate his sandwich. I miss some things. I miss being able to help people. I used to give money to charity and help families in need. I miss feeling secure, knowing my family was safe and had everything they needed. He took a sip of coffee and continued. But I do not miss the stress. I was always worried about money, even when I had too much of it. Always worried about the business, about making more money, about keeping what I had. Now I work at the grocery store, and when my shift ends, I am done. No phone calls, no meetings, no problems to solve at home. That sounds nice, Maya said. I love being a nurse, but sometimes I bring the stress home with me too. Why did you become a nurse? My little brother was very sick when we were kids. He spent months in the hospital. The nurses there were so kind to our family. They took care of him, but they also took care of us. They made a scary time a little less scary. I wanted to do that for other families. Is your brother okay now? Maya smiled. He is fine. He is married and has 2 kids. He lives in Texas now and works as a teacher. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching people walk by. Daniel seemed more relaxed than Maya had ever seen him. Maya, can I ask you something? Daniel said. Of course. Why do you keep helping me? I mean, I am grateful, but I do not understand. You do not know me. You do not owe me anything, and you do not have a lot of money yourself. Maya had been thinking about this question herself. I guess it is because you remind me of my father. Your father? He died when I was 16. He worked in construction, building houses. He was a good man who worked hard and always helped other people when they needed it. One day, he fell from a roof and died instantly. Maya paused, remembering. After he died, we had no money. My mother worked 2 jobs just to keep our house. I remember being so scared and feeling so alone. But people helped us. Neighbors brought us food. His co-workers gave my mother money. The school helped me get a scholarship for nursing school. She looked at Daniel. Those people did not have to help us, but they did. They helped because it was the right thing to do. That is what people do for each other. But I am not family or a friend. I am just a stranger who was rude enough to cut in line at an ATM. Maya laughed. You were not rude. You were desperate. There is a difference. Over the next few weeks, Maya and Daniel met for lunch several times. Daniel told her more about his old life. He had started his first company when he was 25 years old, working 18 hours a day in a tiny office. He met his wife Claire at a coffee shop near his office, and they got married 2 years later. Claire was a teacher then, Daniel said during one of their lunches. She quit her job when Sophie was born. She said she wanted to be home with our daughter, and we had enough money that she did not need to work. Does she blame you for what happened? Daniel was quiet for a long time. She says she does not, but I can hear it in her voice when we talk. She is scared and angry, and she has a right to be. I was supposed to take care of our family, and I failed. You did not fail. You were betrayed by someone you trusted. Maybe, but I should have been more careful. I should have watched the money more closely. Maya was getting frustrated with Daniel's habit of blaming himself. Stop that, she said firmly. Stop what? Stop blaming yourself for something you did not do. Your partner stole from you. That is his fault, not yours. Daniel smiled sadly. You sound like my lawyer. Your lawyer sounds smart. Meanwhile, Maya learned that Daniel was working hard at the grocery store. His manager, Mrs. Peterson, told Maya that Daniel was the best worker she had ever hired. He came in early, stayed late, and never complained about any job she gave him. He is too smart for this work, Mrs. Peterson told Maya one day, but he does everything I ask and more. He even fixed our computer system when it was broken. Saved US hundreds of dollars. Maya also noticed that Daniel was starting to make friends with his coworkers. He helped them with their problems and listened when they needed someone to talk to. The same qualities that made him successful in business were helping him fit in at his new job. One evening, Maya was walking past the grocery store when she saw Daniel through the window. He was mopping the floor and singing quietly to himself. For the first time since she had known him, he looked almost happy. She realized that Daniel was learning something important. He was learning that his worth as a person was not measured by how much money he had. He was learning that respect had to be earned through hard work and kindness, not bought with wealth. Maya was learning something too. She was learning that helping Daniel made her feel good about herself. She had always helped people at work, but this was different. This was personal. Daniel had become her friend, and she cared about what happened to him. As she walked home that night, Maya wondered, what would happen when Daniel's legal problems were solved? Would he get his money back? Would he go back to his old life? Would he still want to be friends with a nurse who lived in a small apartment? She hoped so. Daniel had changed her life too, in ways she was just beginning to understand. 3 months after Maya first met Daniel at the ATM, she was having her usual lunch break when her phone rang. It was Daniel, and he sounded different. His voice was excited, almost like he could not believe what he was saying. Maya, can you meet me at the park? Something incredible has happened. What is it? Are you okay? I am more than okay. I will explain everything when I see you. Can you come now? Maya looked at the clock. She still had 30 minutes left on her break. I will be there in 5 minutes. When Maya arrived at the park, she found Daniel sitting on their usual bench, but he looked completely different. For the first time in months, he was smiling a real, happy smile. His whole body looked relaxed, like a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Maya, sit down, Daniel said, practically bouncing with excitement. You are not going to believe this. What happened? They caught Greg. The FBI found him in the Cayman Islands 3 days ago. He is in jail now, and they are bringing him back to the United States. Maya felt her heart jump. That is wonderful news. But what does that mean for you? It means everything, Daniel said, his eyes bright with happiness. My lawyer called me this morning. Greg confessed to everything. He admitted that he stole all the money and that he forged my signature on the fake documents. The FBI is dropping their investigation of me. I am completely cleared of all charges. Daniel, that is amazing. There is more. They found most of the money. Greg had not spent much of it yet. He was keeping it in bank accounts, probably planning to use it slowly over many years. My lawyer says I should get back about $40 million. Maya stared at him in shock. $40 million? I know it sounds crazy. This morning I was stocking shelves at the grocery store for $9 an hour. Tonight I will be a millionaire again. They sat in silence for a moment, both trying to process what this meant. How do you feel? Maya asked. Daniel thought about the question. Grateful. Relieved. Happy. But also scared. Scared? Why? Because I do not want to go back to the person I was before. The last 3 months have been the hardest of my life, but they also taught me things I never knew about myself. I learned that I could survive without money. I learned the value of simple work. I learned what real friendship looks like. He looked at Maya. I learned that the most important things in life cannot be bought. What will you do now? First, I am going to get my family back together. I called Claire this morning and told her the news. She cried for 10 minutes straight. We are going to look for a new house this weekend. Something smaller than what we had before, but big enough for the 3 of us. Daniel's voice got soft. I am going to tell Sophie the truth about what happened. She is old enough to understand, and she deserves to know. I want her to learn that sometimes bad things happen to good people, but that does not mean you give up. What about your business? I am going to start over. but differently this time. I want to build a company that helps people, not just makes money. Maybe something in technology that helps hospitals work better, or helps schools teach children. Maya smiled. That sounds like the Daniel I know. There is something else, Daniel said, his voice becoming serious. I want to do something for you. For me? You do not need to do anything for me. Yes, I do. Maya, you saved my life. I do not mean that as a figure of speech. I mean it literally. When I had nothing and nobody, you were there. You fed me when I was hungry. You listened when I needed to talk. You gave me hope when I wanted to give up. Maya felt uncomfortable. I just did what anyone would do. No, you did not. Most people walked past me like I was invisible. You stopped and helped. You treated me like a human being when I felt like I was worth nothing. Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I want you to have this. Maya took the paper and unfolded it. It was a check made out to her for $50,000. Daniel, I cannot take this. Maya said, trying to give the check back to him. Yes, you can. It is not charity. It is a thank you gift from someone who has his life back because of your kindness. But this is too much money. This is more than I make in 2 years. It is nothing compared to what you gave me. You gave me friendship when I had no friends. You gave me dignity when I felt worthless. You cannot put a price on that. Maya stared at the check. $50,000 would change her life. She could pay off her student loans from nursing school. She could move to a better apartment. She could finally take a vacation. I have an idea, Daniel said. What if we go to dinner tonight to celebrate? A real dinner at a nice restaurant. My treat, obviously. Maya laughed. I would like that. But somewhere not too fancy. I do not have clothes for a really expensive place. I know the perfect spot. It is nice but not stuffy. The kind of place where the food is excellent, but you do not need to worry about using the right fork. That evening, Maya met Daniel at Romano's, a family-owned Italian restaurant downtown. Daniel had traded his grocery store uniform for a clean shirt and nice pants. He looked more like his old self, but somehow different too. Less stressed, more relaxed. This is nice, Maya said, looking around at the warm lighting and family photos on the walls. I used to eat at places that cost 5 times as much, but the food was not nearly as good, Daniel said. Funny how you learn to appreciate things when you cannot have them anymore. During dinner, Daniel told Maya about his plans for the future. He wanted to start his new company slowly and carefully. He wanted to spend more time with his family. He wanted to give money to charities that helped families in crisis. What about you? Daniel asked, what are your dreams? What would you do if money was not a problem? Maya had never really thought about big dreams. She had always focused on just getting by day to day. I guess I would like to open a free clinic, she said slowly. There are so many people who need medical care but cannot afford it. If I had enough money, I would love to help them. Daniel's eyes lit up. Tell me more about that. Well, I would want it to be in a poor neighborhood where people really need help. It would have doctors and nurses who volunteer their time. We would treat people for free, no matter what their problem was. How much would something like that cost? Maya shrugged. I have no idea. A lot, I am sure. You would need to buy or rent a building, get medical equipment, pay for supplies. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. Daniel smiled mysteriously. Maybe your dream is not as impossible as you think. As they walked out of the restaurant, Maya felt like everything in her life was changing. 3 months ago, she was just a nurse trying to make ends meet. Now she had a best friend who was a millionaire and a check for $50,000 in her purse. Maya, Daniel said as they reached her bus stop. Thank you for everything. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it every time. You do not need to keep thanking me, Maya said. That is what friends do for each other. Friends, Daniel repeated, smiling. I liked the sound of that. As Maya rode the bus home that night, she thought about how strange life could be. One small act of kindness at an ATM had led to a friendship that changed both their lives. She wondered what other surprises the future might hold. 6 months after Daniel got his life back, Maya was working her usual shift at the hospital when her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Daniel, asking her to meet him at their old spot in the park during her lunch break. He said he had something important to show her. Maya had not seen Daniel much in the past few weeks. He had been busy with his new company and spending time with his family. She knew he had found a nice house in a quiet neighborhood and that Sophie was doing well in her new school. Claire had even started working part-time as a teacher again. Something she said made her feel useful and independent. When Maya arrived at the park, she found Daniel waiting with a huge smile on his face. Next to him was a woman with kind eyes and long brown hair, and a young girl with pigtails who was running around the playground. "Maya, I want you to meet my family," Daniel said, standing up from the bench. "This is my wife, Claire, and that whirlwind over there is my daughter, Sophie." Claire stepped forward and hugged Maya tightly. "Finally, I get to meet the famous Maya," she said. "Daniel talks about you all the time. Thank you for taking care of my husband when I could not." Maya felt a little embarrassed. "I did not do much, just listened and shared a few meals." "You did much more than that," Claire said firmly. "You gave him hope when he had none. You reminded him that he was still a good person when he felt like a failure." Sophie ran over to them, breathing hard from playing. "Are you Maya?" she asked, looking up with curious eyes. "Yes, I am. Daddy says you are his best friend and that you helped him when he was sad. He says you are the nicest person in the whole world," Maya laughed. "I do not know about that, but I try to be nice. Do you want to see me go down the big slide?" Sophie asked. "I would love to." While Sophie ran back to the playground, Daniel sat down next to Maya on the bench. "She knows everything now," Daniel said quietly. "We told her the whole story last month. About Greg stealing the money, about me working at the grocery store, about living in the motel." "How did she take it?" "Better than we expected," she said. "She was proud of me for working hard even when things were difficult. She also said she was glad I met you because now our family has a new friend." Claire sat down on Maya's other side. "Daniel told me what you did for him. How you bought him food and listened to his problems. I cannot imagine what would have happened to him without your kindness." "He would have been fine," Maya said. "Daniel is stronger than he thinks." "Maybe," Claire said. "But having a friend made all the difference." Daniel pulled out a large envelope from his jacket pocket. "Maya, remember when you told me about your dream to open a free clinic?" "Yes, but that was just a silly dream. I do not have nearly enough money for something like that." "What if I told you that you do now?" Maya looked confused. "What do you mean?" Daniel handed her the envelope. "Open it." Inside the envelope were legal papers and a set of keys. Maya read the first page slowly, not understanding what she was seeing. "This says I own a building on Oak Street," Maya said, looking up at Daniel with wide eyes. "You do. I bought it last month and had my lawyers transfer it to your name. It is yours, completely paid for." Maya stared at the papers. "Daniel, I cannot accept this. A building must cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Actually, it cost $450,000. But that is not all." Daniel smiled wider. "I also set up a bank account with enough money to run the clinic for 3 years. Equipment, supplies, utilities, everything you need." Maya felt dizzy. "This is too much. This is crazy. I cannot take this." "Yes, you can," Claire said gently. "We can afford it, and more importantly, you deserve it." "But why?" Maya asked, tears starting to form in her eyes. "Because you saved my life," Daniel said simply. "When I had nothing, you gave me everything. You gave me food when I was hungry, friendship when I was alone, and hope when I wanted to give up. This clinic will help hundreds of people who need medical care but cannot afford it. Your kindness will spread to so many others." Sophie ran back. Over to them. "Daddy, did you tell her about the surprise yet?" "What surprise?" Maya asked. Daniel laughed. Sophie wanted to help pick out the decorations for the clinic. She chose the paint colors for the waiting room. "I picked yellow because it is a happy color," Sophie said proudly. "And we got toys for the kids who come to see the doctor." Maya was crying now, overwhelmed by the generosity of this family she had grown to love. "There is one more thing," Daniel sighed. "I found 3 doctors and 2 nurses who want to volunteer at the clinic. They will work there on weekends and evenings when they are not at their regular jobs." "How did you find them?" "I told them about you. About how you helped a stranger when you had every reason to walk away. They want to be part of something that started with such kindness." Over the next month, Maya worked with Daniel and Claire to set up the clinic. They painted the walls yellow just like Sophie wanted. They bought comfortable chairs for the waiting room and stocked the medical rooms with everything doctors and nurses needed to help patients. Maya had to take a leave of absence from her hospital job to learn how to run a clinic. It was scary to leave her steady paycheck, but Daniel promised her that the clinic would pay her a salary too. The day before the clinic opened, Maya stood in the main room looking around at everything they had built together. Daniel found her there, staring at a sign on the wall that read, "Community Health Clinic, free medical care for all." "Having second thoughts?" Daniel asked. "No, just thinking about how impossible this seemed 6 months ago. I was just a nurse, trying to pay my bills. Now I am about to open a free clinic." "You were never just a nurse," Daniel said. "You were always someone who cared about helping people. Now you just have the tools to help more people." The opening day was more successful than anyone expected. 23 patients came for checkups, treatments, and medicine they could not afford anywhere else. Maya worked alongside the volunteer doctors and nurses, feeling more fulfilled than she had ever felt in her life. At the end of the day, Daniel and his family came to visit. Sophie had made a card for Maya with a drawing of the clinic and the words, "Thank you for helping people," written in crayon. "I am proud of you," Daniel told Maya as they stood outside the clinic watching the last patient leave with free medicine. "For his diabetes, I am proud of both of us," Maya replied. "Look what we built from one moment of kindness at an ATM." Claire joined them on the sidewalk. "You know what I think?" she said. "I think this is just the beginning. Kindness has a way of spreading when you give it room to grow." As they walked away from the clinic that evening, Maya thought about how much her life had changed. She had started with nothing but a willingness to help a stranger, and that simple act had created something beautiful that would help hundreds of people. She realized that Daniel was right. True wealth was not measured in money, but in the difference you made in other people's lives. And by that measure, Maya was the richest person she knew.